Good morning, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well today. This is a hugely exciting day. My name is Jane Golden, and I have the great pleasure and honor of being the executive director of the City of Philadelphia's Mural Arts program. Yay, Mural Arts and murals. We have 4,350 murals in the city. Soon to be another one, right here, a masterpiece. It's so exciting. I know, I wake up every day, I'm excited. It's odd, but true. Anyway, today we're here because Mural Arts has joined forces with the Philadelphia Citizen and the University of Pennsylvania Carey Law School for a new mural that will pay tribute to the life and legacy of the civil rights pioneer, Judge A. Leon Higginbotham, Jr. To say that Judge Higginbotham was accomplished is a complete understatement. He was extraordinary. From 1960 to 1962, he was the president of the NAACP Philadelphia chapter. In 1962, he became the first African American commissioner of the Federal Trade Commission. In 1964, President Lyndon Johnson appointed him to the Federal District Court. In 1977, he was elevated to the Court of Appeals by President Jimmy Carter. In 1995, President Clinton awarded Higginbotham the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor. But his impact went beyond our borders. For example, he is the credited author of South Africa's post-apartheid constitution. In fact, according to Nelson Mandela, Judge Higginbotham played a critical role in South Africa's first democratic elections. He supported the development of a public interest law firm and work in South Africa, and he helped to create broader opportunities for Black South African lawyers. His impact was felt universally. And someone like Judge Higginbotham is needed more than ever in today's world, so it's important and critical that we call upon his legacy. And that, after all, is what the beauty of murals is about in some way, right? They beautify our environment, we all know that. But they are larger than life. They give people the dignity and respect that they truly deserve, and they help us hold on to our heroes. This work of art will be here for a long time, and it will live on as an icon, as a beacon, and an incredible source of pride and inspiration. When I think of the over 4,000 works of art in the city of Philadelphia, I think it is truly the autobiography of our city. But yes, that deserves a round of applause. Not every city has that, I'm just saying. But it's so important. After all, we recently witnessed a 50-year precedent overturned and a fundamental right evaporate at the national level. And rights are being threatened all the time. It's more important than ever to remember and pay tribute to a judge who was a champion of the ever ongoing struggle to assure equal justice under the law for all people, regardless of race, sex, ability, or economic status. We need Judge Higginbotham. We need him more than ever. And so as I was reading about him, as my colleagues, our Director of Communications, Chad Eric Smith, said to me this morning, I've been reading about Judge Higginbotham over and over again. And the sense of inspiration we feel is palpable. It is so important that we do this project. It is so important that this is a visible location, that this is public art, that this is art that is created by the people, for Philadelphians to hold on for the next 100 years. This will be here as a source of inspiration. Nelson Mandela also said that Judge Higginbotham's work and the example he set made a critical contribution to the course of the rule of law in the United States and a difference in the lives of African Americans, but in the lives of all Americans. And he said something else. He said his influence also crossed borders, and inspired many who fought for freedom and equality in other countries. See, I think that's the beauty of art. I think that art crosses borders. So this image won't just live on here for people who come by here. It will live on in social media. It will live on in images. It will travel the world a million times. And people who know about Judge Higginbotham will say, I'm so glad that this was done in Philadelphia. And for young people, people coming up who did not know, they will know. Murals are a profound, powerful tool of advocacy and education, and I feel so thrilled and honored that we are here today. And I want to say that we have an incredible artist who I will introduce later, and that artist for this project, and I want everyone to give him a huge round of applause, is Sean Theodore. We looked at lots of artists, and Sean was selected. He's brilliant. He is a photographer, a painter, a multitasker. He's an extraordinary thinker. And when you see the design, you will see all that went into his idea, his concept, his just beautiful work of art. And you're going to see it soon on our digital billboard truck behind you. We thought of a really creative way to bring Judge Higginbotham's life to make it very real for all of you and to have a dramatic unveiling. And so I'm really excited that we chose this occasion to be able to bring his multifaceted life's work to all of you. And so, but projects like this aren't easy. They happen because people behind the scenes are tireless. And there's one person who kept this project alive, and I mean over many years, and that is Larry Platt. He's the co-founder and co-executive director of the Philadelphia Citizen. And what I want to say to you is that journalism is a noble profession. It's so important. It's our system of checks and balances. When I came to the city, I started avidly reading the Daily News. It was a long time ago, and I remember thinking, oh, this is how I'm going to find out about the city. It's through newspapers. And when I go to the Citizen, their articles are so interesting and riveting, and I feel I have a different snapshot of what's going on in our city. And Larry knew he wanted to do this project, and he was not going to take no for an answer. And, obstacles came and went, but he was tireless, he's relentless, and because of Larry Platt, our city is a better place to be. I'd like to introduce Larry Platt.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good morning. That was weak. Good morning. I want to thank, first and foremost, Jane. One of the great benefits of this project has been working with her. You want to talk about relentless and a force of nature. I first talked to Jane about honoring Judge Higginbotham in 2006. So this has been an ongoing dream and an ongoing project. And around that time, I also first started lobbying her to run for mayor. That's a discussion for another day, but another dream that I have not deferred. So I want to thank Mural Arts and the world-class work they do, and it's an honor to partner with them. I also want to thank the third partner of this project, University of Pennsylvania, which has also just where the judge taught for many years. And he lived nearby, and they have just been stellar in terms of bringing this to fruition. And finally, there are a number of people here who I want to shout out for their support. There's the legendary former U.S. Attorney Ed Dennis. It's an honor, sir. There's Marcel Pratt, the managing partner of Ballard Spahr Law Firm, who gives me hope for the future of the city. There is Michael Higginbotham, the judge's nephew, a law professor himself. You'll hear from Michael in a moment. And especially there is the chair of Penn Law, Osagi Imisogi, who is one of the most innovative guiding lights of Philadelphia. And you'll hear from Osagi as well. So why Judge Higginbotham? Well, one reason is that if you there are plenty of honors bestowed upon civil rights pioneers throughout Philadelphia. At City Hall, you could go past the Octavius Catto mural sculpture. There's the Juanita Kidd Stout Criminal Justice Center, and so forth. But for some reason, not in the legal community. In the legal community, Judge Higginbotham is a giant. But in the popular perception, Judge Leon Higginbotham has been lost to history in his hometown. And we've wanted to correct that for the longest time because I like to describe him as the Zelig of the 20th century. Every time that America faced a moral inflection point, there he was. There's unrest on the streets of Los Angeles. President Johnson turns to Leon Higginbotham. There's a nominee to the Supreme Court who doesn't quite measure up. There's an open letter from Judge Higginbotham to Clarence Thomas that some say is the reason Clarence Thomas was so silent for so many years on the court. He was so eviscerated by that letter. And the thing about that letter and every other public pronouncement by Judge Higginbotham is it was infused with a sense of moral authority. He was not afraid to talk about right and wrong. Moral relativism was something for other people to delve into. As Jane said, this is a Philadelphian who wrote the Constitution for South Africa under Nelson Mandela. We cannot forget the impact of this man, in part because at a time when human rights are being rescinded by an activist Supreme Court, he stood for the principle that the Constitution is ever evolving and that the story of America is the expansion of rights, not the disintegration of them. And if you get a chance to watch any of his speeches on C-SPAN at the Citizen, we're embarking on a months-long series called The Color of Law, dedicated to resurrecting his message and his sense of moral leadership. And we'll be showing some of those clips, and they are amazing. He was also just an amazing speaker and orator. So I'll stop at that, but I wanted to thank all of you for coming out. The Citizen is all about trying to marshal people to do little acts of citizenship every day. That's how change happens. So you're all part of changing Philadelphia today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Larry. That was very powerful and inspiring, and I'm so glad you called me years ago about this project. And it's true, I am tenacious. You're right. But for a good cause. Okay, and now I'm so excited to introduce our next guest, and that is Michael Higginbotham. Michael is a Lawrence M. Katz Professor of Law and former interim dean at the University of Baltimore School of Law. He is also the author of Race Law, published by Carolina Academic Press in 2001. Now in its 5th edition, the book is widely used in colleges and law schools throughout the United States. And I just want to say, Michael, when I heard that you were supportive of this project and you were behind it, I literally got out of my chair and jumped for joy. I'm so honored to meet you. Thank you. Please come up and say a few words.
Good morning to everyone. It is my pleasure to represent, I'm actually thrilled to represent the Higginbotham family. We are very grateful and deeply appreciative to Larry Platt, to citizens of Philadelphia, to the Mural Arts program, and of course to all of you for coming out today and celebrating with us. First, let me say, Aloysius Leon Higginbotham Jr. And I know I see a lot of you smiling because I know a lot of you wanted to know what that A period stood for. So now you know. Leon spent his entire professional career, or at least most of it, right here in Philadelphia from the time he graduated in 1952 from Yale Law School until he retired in 1993, some 40-some years, right here in Philadelphia. This was his community. 6 in Market Street at the courthouse to 44 West Upsall Street, where he had a home, and everything in between was his stomping ground. And he spent a whole lot of time, of course, at the University of Pennsylvania, Mother Penn. He also had a home for a couple of years. There he lived with his wife, Evelyn, before they moved up to Harvard during the 1990s. And it was about 4 blocks down on 48th Street. So this was his stomping grounds. Quite frankly, the family has always been inspired by Leon's story. Members of the family were always moved and inspired. But this project is so important because now many more people will be inspired. We've been inspired from day one when a 16-year-old freshman who was an engineering student in 1944 at Purdue University, where he said to the college president, "Why do the 9 black students have to sleep in an unheated, cramped attic rather than in the dormitory, even in a segregated situation?" And the college president responded, "The law doesn't require me to house you on campus or to provide you with heat, Leon. So if you don't like it, you can go ahead and leave." Now, you want to talk about the most negative inspirational speech in the history of the world? That was it. Because, of course, the next day Leon left Purdue, went to a school that wouldn't segregate him, Antioch, and he changed his major from engineering to pre-law. And, of course, the rest is history. This project is so significant to the Higginbotham family because Leon's story can now provide inspiration for many, many others. I guess I can say this: Leon is the Rocky of the legal profession, the Rocky Balboa of the legal profession. I think some of you Philadelphians get that. The reason why, right? He started low. He overcame a whole lot of obstacles and he rose to the top, just like Rocky. But unlike the mythical, fictional character in the movies, Leon was the real life hero. He was the real deal. He kept it real. He kept it real in 1968, the day after Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination. He kept it real when he spoke truth to power to Lyndon Johnson in the Oval Office. He kept it real in 1982 when he went to South Africa and spoke about racial equality and got locked up by the apartheid government. And as you heard from Larry Platt, he kept it real in 1991 when he reminded in an open and public letter to a recently confirmed Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas about the tremendous input and changes that his predecessor, Thurgood Marshall, had made, the incredible aspects of improvement that Thurgood Marshall has made. So when you think about inspiration, Leon Higginbotham is one who can provide that. Second, let me say, I heard from, and you all heard from Jane Golden earlier. You heard from Larry Platt about what a brilliant attorney Leon was. You heard about what a great, dedicated public servant. And you also heard what a wise and fair jurist he has been. And he was all of those things, no question about that. But he was also something very special privately. And a lot of people don't understand that what made Leon so special, what separated him out from many of the smart, lawyers out there, was his compassion. Leon cared deeply about the poor, about the dispossessed, about the voiceless, about the hopeless. I could tell you a whole lot of stories that demonstrate this unique character trait, but I'm going to just share one with you because it's hot out here, I know. So I'm going to share one with you. It occurred in 1986 about a couple of miles from this location. We were working late one night at 17th and Bainbridge. Leon had an apartment there. I was living next door to him in an apartment. We had bedrooms on the second floor and they faced the street, but they were next to each other, and it was a hot Philadelphia night. We had the windows open and you could hear sounds from each other's apartment. When the phone rang, I could hear it in Leon's apartment. And we were tired. We worked a little bit after midnight, and Leon said, hey, look, I'm real tired. Let's get to sleep. I got to do a speech to the next day. So we went to bed about 2 a.m. I could hear the phone in Leon's house ringing. And then I could hear the doorbell ringing, and it rang for about 2 minutes. And I heard Leon go to the window, and he said, may I help you? And the person, it was a woman's voice, she said, I'm sorry to disturb you such a late hour. You don't know me. But I heard you were an important person. I just got a phone call from the hospital. My son is in the hospital. I need to know if he's okay. So I have to take a taxi over there. I have no money. Can you give me $25? And I heard Leon's response. He said, I'll do better than that. I'm going to take you over to the hospital. I heard him coming down the steps, opened the door, got in his car. I heard the car drive away. The next day, we drove to the airport. He was going to make a speech out in California. He never mentioned the incident. And that showed me a couple of things. One, his humility. He was a man, he didn't need credit. He didn't need recognition. This was who he was deep inside, to help a stranger in need. But the second thing, and most important thing to me, as I thought about this incident, was the dignity that he gave to this stranger, of his time, of his patience, of his caring, to take her to the hospital and to stay with her while she dealt with a difficult family situation. So for me, this was the day in 1986 that I fully recognized just how special this person was, just why he deserves a mural up here on Chestnut Street, because of that passion. Those who knew Leon, those who loved Leon, those who respected Leon, they'll miss his baritone voice. He had one of the James, somebody mentioned James Earl Jones, didn't have anything on Leon. We'll miss that baritone voice that talked about so powerfully about racial equality in America. We're going to miss that boisterous laughter that dulled the pain of American racism. But most of all, we're going to miss that compassion that never, ever gave up on the dream to save it for all. So finally, let me say, these are difficult times that the nation is in. I think we all recognize that. And as you heard earlier, we desperately need leaders like Leon Higginbotham more than ever today. Leon was a part of this community. Leon was a part of West Philly, but more significantly, West Philly was a part of Leon. So it is, yes, absolutely. So here's what my hope is from this mural. It's my hope that this will enable a whole lot of people to learn about Leon Higginbotham's story, what he stood for, to know the obstacles he overcame, the character he displayed, and the values that he embraced. And that in so knowing, there are members in this community that will be able to be touched and will be able to think as Leon thought, will be able to speak as Leon did, will be able to embrace the values that Leon embraced, but most significantly, will be able to live the life that Leon lived. Thank you very much.
That was beautiful and inspiring. What a day this is, right? Right, everybody? Come on. That's what I'm talking about. And I cannot believe I'm working with Penn Law School. I'm an artist who wanted to be a lawyer. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. My brother is a lawyer and talked me out of it to run Mural Arts. But I could keep hope alive. That's what Joanne said. Chris and Joanne, thank you. Working with Penn Law has been amazing. So next, please welcome Theodore W. Ruger, the Dean of the University of Pennsylvania Carey Law School and Professor of Law at Bernard G. Siegel.
Thank you. Thank you, Jane, and congratulations on avoiding a legal career. I come with huge, immense gratitude and appreciation for Judge Leon Higginbotham's career in the midst of a line of distinguished speakers here. So I was kind of editing down my remarks as my predecessors at the podium were speaking, and I've got a couple distinguished speakers to follow me. So I'll be, first and foremost, I want to second and amplify and sign on to everything that has been said and will be said by those who come in a few minutes about the judge's immense impact in this community and around the country as a force for justice and inclusion and legal reform and civil rights. That's all true, and we know that and teach that and celebrate that at the law school. I'll make 3 quick points. First, about the judge's special contributions and involvement with the University of Pennsylvania Law School and the university as a whole. Second, about our appreciation and engagement for this partnership and ways that I'm really pleased to be standing here with you today and connecting with other programs we have to try to reach out in Philadelphia with greater kind of legal education. And then lastly and briefly but importantly, to build on some of the other speakers' comments about Judge Higginbotham's ongoing importance in inspiring us to change the law to make it more perfect, less biased, less exclusionary. And we've still got a lot of work to do on that front. So first, in addition to all his other immense pioneering achievements, Judge Leon Higginbotham Jr. was deeply important to the law school at the University of Pennsylvania and the broader university. And in so doing, he extended his legacy in a very human way by teaching and inspiring hundreds of students who today are judges here in this city and around the country, are lawyers here in this city and around the country, and who are educators in this city and around the country, who were taught by the judge, who have told me as dean over the past decade, and every year we celebrate him in our halls with a Higginbotham Memorial Lecture that we do together with Penn's Africana Studies Department. And every year there's alumni and others who come up to me, and again, leading judges, lawyers, politicians, teachers from Philadelphia and around the country who say they would not be doing what they're doing today and paying it forward to the next generation without the judge mentoring them, inspiring them with his empathetic, inspirational teaching. Now, for somebody who's an educator, and I think it's a full-time job, what's amazing about Judge Higginbotham, he did all of that kind of moonlighting. He did all of this as an adjunct professor at the university, as a board member, and like the gentleman who will follow me, chair of our board, helping set policy for the law school for a decade as chair of our board. He did all of this on top of his full-time day job as a leading federal judge. So the immense energy and commitment that he gave to us and our students will be remembered. And as I said, in the best tradition of teaching, in ways that all of us who teach and educate would hope to be, he inspired, it was exponential, his influence, because of the way he inspired young attorneys and judges and young attorneys who became judges and top lawyers. And I see that every month. People come to me from this community and around the country saying, the judge taught me, and I wouldn't be doing what I would be doing without his support, his mentorship, etc. With respect to this partnership, I'm just so grateful and happy that we can help support this project and be a part of it. To Jane Golden and the Philadelphia Mural Arts, I'll share sort of a great stumbling block that we had a bit is that this Mural Arts program in Philadelphia has been so successful, it took us a while to find a wall that wasn't already done up well, and that's such a testament, and there's no other city like this, right? Larry Platt, this was your brainchild, and it's an idea that is such the right idea that I'm so grateful to that you brought it to us, and it was one of the easiest decisions we made at Penn. Is of course this was the right idea, and we're happy to partner with you and to Professor Higginbotham and the family. It's wonderful to have your involvement, and I think we'll see even more family members at the unveiling, and then to Sean Theodore. I've seen some of your work, and I can't be more excited to see what's going to be up here in a few months. So thank you. For the law school, and we are in the life of the city here. So for the law school in general, this is a good reminder to us, and sometimes we forget it for all that we try to do in our classrooms about educating and participating in discussion in the community, not just in our classroom walls. The fastest growing part of our legal education at Penn and nationally is educating people who are never going to be lawyers or who won't be lawyers for a long time, like high school students. And so we have growing programs there. Just last week, it's really fitting and gratifying. Just last week, I was teaching a class on constitutional law to about 75 high school students, some of whom go to high school or who are from this neighborhood and go to high school in West Philly or other parts of the city. We have a partnership with the Philadelphia High School District, and to know that there'll be a mural embodying, sort of civil rights and the career of Judge Higginbotham is a tremendous synergy with that. I think, we lawyers like to talk. Sometimes you think we're paid by the word, and I will end my speech soon. But but there's a saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words, and I feel like this mural here, in the hands of an artist like Sean Theodore, is worth 10,000, 100,000 words when I think of who's going to see it and who's going to be inspired. So it's a great way for us, and it's a way we can learn from this project to think about how we can translate our legal education in different ways. And then finally, as other speakers have said, Judge Higginbotham worked with sort of clear eyes and boundless energy and a sense of justice and inclusion. And he worked against centuries of injustice and exclusion that have been written into our country's laws. As we say, I teach at the law school, the law is neither good nor bad. It's a reflection of who we are as human beings. So at various periods, it embodies all of the prejudices and biases that we have had in our history and then have been entrenched by law. But as the judge's example and others show, it also can embody using legal tools to promote justice, to undo past injustices, and to make us a more fair and more inclusive society. And so in that vein, this mural, at least for us at the law school, stands, yes, as a celebration for the judge's achievement, but also as a reminder that the work he did is not done, that the long structures he was working against are still with us, and that one generation or even one incredible individual like Judge Higginbotham is not going to undo all of that, and we still have a lot of work to do, and we look forward to doing it with all of you in this community. So thank you.
And now I want to welcome somebody who I have to say is a wonderful citizen of the city. He is involved in so many things. It's like Philadelphia really needs people like this, so it's really an honor that he's with us today. I would like to introduce Osagie Imasogi, the chairman of Penn Carey Law School's Board of Advisors, and so much more.
Good afternoon. I'm not quite sure why I'm here, because all the things you need to hear, you've already heard, and you've got a great artist that is coming in after me. But I must tell you, I am absolutely thrilled to be here. George Higginbotham was a true inspiration. I followed his footsteps in many ways. One of my major mentors, Bill Brown, was his partner in his law firm when they started. So we go back a very long way. And in the law school, in addition to what Dane Ruger has said, we have a great portrait of him. So I'm glad that the public will now get to see this portrait and this mural, but we already have a great one in the law school, and it inspires our students every day. When I think about George Higginbotham, I think about how relevant he is for our time. It's interesting, when Benjamin Franklin started our university in the 1700s, the motto for the university ended up being Legis Sine Moribus Vanae. That pretty much means that law without morals is useless. And it's fascinating that that is the motto from which the University of Pennsylvania was established. What George Higginbotham stood for was the centrality of morals, the centrality of morals in everything that we do. It's the centrality of morals in the law, the concept of what is right and wrong, the concept of the rule of law. At this moment in our country, this could not be more relevant. It matters who is in a position. It matters who is making a decision. It matters who wears the robe of a judge. It matters who is the advocate. And the centrality of morality to the law was a core issue for George Higginbotham. And I will urge all of us to reflect on that. It's fascinating that when you think about Edmund Burke's statement that all it needs for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing, it again brings to us the importance for us to take on the responsibility of doing something. In the life of George Higginbotham, he did something. He did it in every sphere of his life. Everything from his academic work at the university to his civil rights activities, to his work on the bench. I mean, if you ever have some time, you should read some of his judgments. They're absolutely brilliant. To his work in this society. And that is one of the reasons why I'm very glad that we're doing it right here in West Philly. You know, a live, breathing, mixed society that shows the rich tapestry of what America is and what America will continue to be, in spite of all the efforts to change that. So I just cannot tell you how thrilled we are from a Penn perspective that George Higginbotham was related to us and we to him, and both of us here in West Philadelphia. I'm looking forward to seeing the mural. I've supported Jane and our efforts for a long time. When Prince Charles came to Philadelphia, and I hosted him, and one of the first things they wanted to do was do a tour of the murals in the city. So that's how important these murals are. They're not only, as Jane pointed out, they're not only relevant here, but they're relevant internationally. My last comment, Larry Platt, amazing. Amazing. Larry was bashful when he was up here, but he's shared with me his own personal connection to George Higginbotham and why the judge inspired him so much. And he has devoted a considerable amount of effort to make this thing happen. So I commend the three institutions that are backing this, and I'm looking forward to the whole society enjoying this amazing mural. Now to hear from the amazing artist. Thank you.
So before the artist, I just want to say Ed Rendell wishes that he could have been here with us today. And I want to acknowledge the 45th Governor of the Commonwealth. And he is also the other committee co-chair. And I have a message from Governor Rendell. He says, I'm sorry I cannot be with you today, but I want you to know how strongly I endorse this tribute to Judge Higginbotham. He was truly a great judge, but more importantly, a great American. His courage, his integrity, and his intelligence would have made him a great Supreme Court justice. Right, that is true. His impact on American life was enormous, and we all agree. And now, I would like to introduce the one and only, brilliant, talented, wonderful Sean Theodore!
Thank you, Jane, for that rousing introduction. I had about 3 versions of what I was going to say before these amazing men stepped up and shut all of those down. I feel like I've been set up to follow these men with all their, all the emotion, all the intellectual gratitude, all the things that Judge Higginbotham inspires in people. I have to talk about, for me, what this project was. It was, at first, I had questions. I had never heard of Judge Higginbotham. But then when I started to do the research and being in contact with the family, just digging in and finding so many wonderful things that I'm grateful for that he has done for our community and for our nation, I kind of got into a place where I could say the overall feeling that I carry as an artist who lives and works in Philadelphia is that gratitude. Gratitude is what brought this project literally to me. And I'm extremely grateful for all the opportunities that Mural Arts, the Citizen, Penn, as well, have been able to afford an artist like me to translate the meaning of such an important figure in our world. It's simply put, just when I feel the feelings is mostly gratitude. So I want to stop there because some of you out there know that I like to cry. But I want to say thank you to everyone that came out today. I'm looking forward to talking with everyone and anyone about my design process when we unveil the mural. And big thanks again to the Higginbotham family, number one. This is my new friend, Michael. I don't know if you met him. And Mural Arts and Penn. Thank you so much.
All right, this is the moment we've all been waiting for, and it's like so dramatic, right? Okay, so now we're going to unveil the design thanks to our friends at KG3 Mobile Advertising, and we're going to count down from 5. And we're going to move this out of the way. Right now? Do you want me to move it? I don't know if that's a good idea. Okay.
Good. You want to do the countdown first?
All right, no. You move it to the side. Then we do the countdown. That's our director.
There you go.
Thank you. All right, everyone. I want everyone to count because that's what makes it dramatic. Are we ready? Ready. All right, no. Right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, everybody, how about a round of applause for our work of art? Imagine it on this lovely wall. Everyone coming down. I'm a wall hunter. This is a good wall. All right, and now some final thank yous. Thank you to our partners, the Philadelphia Citizen and the University of Pennsylvania Carey Law School. Thank you to our guest speakers, Larry, Michael, Theodore, Osagi. Governor Rendell, we're sorry you couldn't be here. You're here in spirit. Sean Theodore. Thank you to Elena Owens, our project manager. Elena, raise your hand. We love you and think you do wonderful work. Thank you to Ralph Thorne from the Philadelphia Citizen and Corey Moscow from Gloss PR. Thank you to the Mural Arts Communications team. Thank you, Chad Eric Smith. You put your heart and soul into this. Signature 57, thank you. Our dynamic PR team. Thank you to KG3 Mobile Advertising. Thank you to Federal Donuts. Snacks are always good. And finally, thank you all of you for being here. I know it's hot, but this is inspiring. And now we're going to have a special mural tour led by Chad Eric Smith, our Director of Communications and Brand Management. This will be part of a very special tour of esteemed people. And remember, everyone, that art ignites change. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Yes, this will be left up so people can enjoy it for a minute or two.
I want my photographer to get
Yes.